Welcome back to another Young Guns hockey video. I have taken a long break. I've decided to, I'm gonna make some more videos, have some time today. So I'm just gonna get right into this. This video is actually on Anthony Duclair. He's a right wing on the Ottawa Senators, my favorite team. The hat and the sweater I'm wearing. I don't know if he'll end up staying in Ottawa or if he'll end up going, so that's why I'm making this video anyways, because might as well think about where he could find himself after the trade deadline. So Ottawa has a couple players to re-sign. They have Pajot and Duclair. I don't know what their plans are because they want to save money for the long term so that they can sign any possible young guys coming up. It always hurts a team whenever they're in the rebuilding stage and they sign somebody to a long-term high cap deal and then the player doesn't even turn out to be what they thought, so it wastes a lot of their money and then they get into a cap crunch once their team starts getting good. But for Duclair, I hope that that's not the case. He's had sort of a weird career, how he was always overlooked, and like John Tortorella comes out saying about him, like he doesn't know how to play hockey. And he's still only 24 years old, so he has extreme speeds. Like he is so quick out there on the ice, and he's able to pull off a lot of good stick handling at those high speeds, and that's what's led to him having such success this season. So for him this season, he actually has 34 points in 51 games. That's not as good, but how he was playing like maybe a month ago, he was so much closer to a point per game, and then I don't know what happened, but they just stopped playing him as much. I find whenever I was actually watching the games, I found that they weren't playing him as if he was like a line one. He was sort of like they were just sort of rotating all their lines about even. So that's why when you look at their lineup, he's actually listed here on the third. He's not actually a third liner. Ottawa makes kind of three even lines that they can just roll whenever. They don't play Tkachuk, Pajot, and Brown way more than everybody else. Like it's sort of like they roll the lines. And I found a lot of games they've even played the Tierney and Duclair line actually the most. So to say that they're line 3 would be sort of incorrect because they roll the lines pretty quick and pretty evenly. So to look into these 5 teams, I think he could find himself playing for next season. I'll start off with the Buffalo Sabres. So the Buffalo Sabres, they're actually down here. They're 6th in their division. Most of the teams that I did pick besides this one is actually in playoffs, but I picked Buffalo because if they got Duclair, I think him and Eichel could bring them to back to playoff bound, maybe. I mean, it would still be a stretch because they're still missing a couple pieces, but you really never know because Duclair, like if he's actually playing alongside someone like that, that could be a good 1-2 duo, especially with the playmaking skills of Sam Reinhart. He's really started to pick it up as well. But yeah, like if you look at their lineup, they just need some pieces in the front. Like they have Frolik as a second line winger. They cannot have that. So I would say they'd put Duclair on first line left wing or second line right wing because he is left-handed shot. He can play on the left side, but they've had him on the right side, so he can play either one. So I think he would look really, really good with Eichel because he is super quick. He has super good hands. Eichel can feed him the puck, he can feed it back. They both got a good shot. And then with Reinhardt's playmaking abilities, they can definitely be one of the top lines in the league. And if he is spotted on the second line, well, alongside the sniper Jeff Skinner, that could work out really well as well. So moving on to the second team, actually I have the New York Islanders. So the New York Islanders, they're actually they're in the 5th spot, so they're just out of playoffs by 1 point, which if they landed Duclair, I think that could push them over 1 point because that's nothing. Islanders, they do play a very defensive style game, but so does Ottawa, and Duclair is actually doing really well in the defensive style. So whenever you're playing for a team like New York Islanders or Ottawa Senators, it's hard to judge their skill based on how much points they put up, because of the fact that they don't actually they don't have the capabilities to put up those points that they do on another team, because they play such a trap and slower style game. But nonetheless, though, he would suit the Islanders really well with Barzal, the two of the fastest skaters in the game. They would be really hard to stop. So obviously, I think that would push down Eberle and push down Josh Bailey. Maybe, I don't know what they would do with their wingers, but they definitely need some help here. They got Dal Cole and Kiefer Bellows on third line, and I think they could use another winger. Moving on to the third team out of 5. So we have our Columbus Blue Jackets. So Columbus is actually sitting third in their division right here, 65 points. So they're sitting, I mean, right on the edge. Even though they aren't in a wild card spot, they're only 1 point up from being out of the playoffs. And after Columbus took a big hit in the offseason, losing their guys that they had at the deadline, they could really use some help to replace them. Like, if you look at their forward core, it's definitely on the bottom end of the league. I don't know how this team has actually stayed so high up in the standings, because at the beginning of the year, I don't think too many people were expecting them to be third in their division. I mean, they do still have a good team. They have a good decor. Their goalies are playing all right, and they do have some great pieces up here in Dubois, Wenberg, Atkinson, Foligno. Nyquist has done well, but like, as you see, like, it's third line. You have Bemstrom and Gerby. I don't know if that'll suit it for a playoff team. So if you have Anthony Duclair, you put him alongside Dubois, the elite forward. You can move Yorkshire down, move Nick Foligno down. Either side would work. And I think that would make their top 6 a lot better, and their third line would have one of these pieces dropping down. So I think that would look really well for Columbus. So the second last team, St. Louis Blues. I chose St. Louis Blues. I mean, obviously they're killing it anyways. They are absolutely killing it. But whenever they lost Tarasenko, they lost a heavy sniper that I think they could definitely replace with Duclair. Even if it was just for the rental, because I don't know what their cap situation is looking like for the future. I don't think they'd be able to re-sign him long term at all. I think, though, if they picked them up, their depth would just be insane, because it's already crazy. Their depth is some of the best in the league, and that's why they're dominating this season again. Obviously, there's not too much depth missing. Like, Sammy Blais is like fourth liner. He could be third line or even second line on another team. Zach Sanford, I'm not sure about him too much. I don't know if he is a second line going into the playoffs or not, but they could definitely find some room. They don't really need Troy Brouwer. They can move down Kyrou. I think they could definitely fit Anthony Duclair in their lineup, and their team would be the best team on paper by far, for sure, going into the playoffs, and they could go for back-to-back Stanley Cups. That would be really cool to see. So moving on to the last team, I have Edmonton Oilers. So the Edmonton Oilers are sitting second in their division with 62 points. So their team, they're sort of just being carried off of a few players. Obviously, McDavid, Draisaitl, Clefbaum, Nurse, whoever you want to say. They don't have too many of them. They definitely need a winger. I don't know how they have not found a winger for so long. It's pretty crazy to think that they can't just get like any top 6 player. Like, they have nobody to play with Draisaitl and McDavid. It's pretty shitty to see Connor McDavid have to drag his line on his back every shift, and so he just begs for Draisaitl to be on his line so that they can actually put up some numbers. So he's sitting there right now, currently, with Cassian and Archibald. I think Duclair could fit right there. Duclair, McDavid, Cassian would be an awesome lineup. The second line's been killing it lately. Yamamoto, Draisaitl, Hopkins, Nugent Hopkins. Obviously, this line is perfect the way it is. It's definitely one of the better second lines in the league. for sure. They've been doing really well lately, but I think McDavid needs some help on his wing, and Archibald can drop down to the third, maybe drop Gagne down or Haas down, and then their depth will be looking a lot better with maybe Archibald dropping to a third. Their depth gets a lot better. So that's the final team to cap out this video. This is on Anthony Duclair, possible teams he could go to. This is teams that I would love to see him go to. I mean, I hate seeing him leave Ottawa, but if he was to leave, it would be cool to watch him play for one of these teams. So Anthony Duclair on his best season so far in the NHL. I hope he can actually keep it up. Maybe score 35 goals would be really nice. He can make some great trade bait at the deadline. And we'll just see what happens with him. So thank you for tuning into this video. Leave a like, subscribe for more. I'm making more videos when I have time. I've been inconsistent, but I enjoy making videos, so I could definitely see some more coming. Thank you for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.